before we dive into this episode, I have one small ask. Around 75% of you on Spotify aren't following yet, and over 80% of you on YouTube aren't subscribed. If this podcast has resonated with you so far, do follow or subscribe, because your support helps this podcast grow. And it also helps me bring in guests who challenge us and also expand our perspective and add more value to the time that you spend here. And with that being said, welcome to In Progress with Ascent. Adults haven't become wiser. They've become more evaluated. And because they feel evaluated, they outsource significance. Think about that for a second. Evaluation changes behavior. When you know you're being watched, even subtly, you adjust. Not dramatically, but incrementally. And over time, incremental adjustments become personality. As children, we never really asked whether something was worth caring about. We just cared. A random rock, a shadow on the wall, a crack in the pavement, something small and seemingly meaningless. It mattered because we decided it did. There was no cost to fascination, no social penalty, no productivity metric, and no return on investment calculation. And I've sort of heard this in a different podcast, but children are independent arbiters of significance. I really love this line. Children do not consult the room. In fact, adulthood changes that very environment, because now everything feels observed. Your interests signal identity, your hobbies signal competence, and your taste signals status. And slowly, the question shifts from, am I curious about this, to, is this worth being curious about? Now that shift seems small, but it rewires you. And responsibility explains part of it. You grow up, you have obligations, you prioritize stability, you don't have the infinite time to explore every curiosity. And that's natural, but responsibility isn't the whole story. Insecurity fills the rest. The quiet fear of being irrelevant, the subtle need to align, the discomfort of caring deeply about something that doesn't look impressive. Now look, most adults don't want to look unserious. So we start filtering our interests. Will this make sense to others? Will this move me forward? Or will this fit the version of me that the world understands? And over time, we don't lose our original fascinations. We just stop prioritizing them. We replace them with what's rewarded, what's optimized, what's legible. And that's why nostalgia feels powerful. Look, it's not just about missing the past. It's about remembering a version of yourself that did not constantly evaluate whether your interests made sense. A version that did not need everything to lead to somewhere. Now, if insecurity is the psychological layer of this shift, technology is a structural one. Because now, we're not just influenced by perception, we're guided by systems. The algorithms study what we engage with and feed us more of the same. It feels more personalized. But to be fair, I think it's more predictive. It narrows surprise. Think about this. Navigation apps decide our routes. Streaming platforms cue our music. Food delivery apps suggest what we should eat next. And platforms decide what we should watch. So I see that convenience here is replacing deliberation. But here's the thing. Deliberation is uncomfortable. It requires effort. It requires uncertainty. And sometimes it also requires choosing wrong. But the more we outsource small decisions, the less we practice choosing at all. And here's the thing. Choice is a skill. Discovery is a skill. Taste is a skill. The danger isn't simply that we begin liking what systems amplify. It's that we stop going through the inefficient process of self-discovery, the reconsidering, and the slow formation of preference. Without friction, identity weakens. Without friction, you don't know if something really resonates with you, or if it was simply repeated to you enough times. Now look, this is not a technological villain story. I believe that tools are useful. They save time, and they also reduce your need to, put in the amount of cognitive load that you usually do. So the issue isn't exactly convenience. It's unconscious surrender. Can we use these systems without letting them quietly define us? Can we let them assist us without truly replacing our intellectual thought processes? So the real question is this, and it's probably the title of this episode. Have we outsourced our significance? Have we handed over the authority to decide what deserves our attention? Not what's trending, not what signals competence, not what looks aligned, but what genuinely pulls our attention. And maybe this isn't just about technology. Maybe it's not even about just society. Maybe it's about attention itself. Because attention is the raw material of life. Where your attention goes, your identity quietly follows. What you return to, what you dwell on, what you allow to occupy your mental space, that becomes you. And the unsettling part isn't that influence exists. It's that influence works best when it feels invisible. So maybe the deeper question isn't only, have we outsourced our significance? Maybe it's this. Who or what is shaping your attention right now? And more importantly, did you choose it? And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this was Muhammad Asad, and you've been listening to In Progress with Asad.